Every day, something dramatic happens in the Caribbean that affects our lives. We'll give you the details. We'll give you the facts on Caribbean Perspective with Eddie Frederick. Host Eddie Frederick.
So glad you can join us. The Barbados economy posted double-digit growth for January to March 2022. This story takes the lead in today's edition of Caribbean Perspective for Friday 29th April 2022. Details when we return.
Hubbard's Motor Department Mount Gay and Hubbard's Tire Bay, located at the Building Supplies Compound in Grand Anse, are reminding the motoring public that another round for licensing and inspection has begun. Just arrived on new shipments of quality furrowed and torque tires to fit all makes and models of vehicles at competitive pricing. Shop early to avoid the hassle of long lines. WhatsApp them on 473-405-5482. Hubbard's, quality service, affordable prices.
Welcome back. The Barbados economy records double-digit growth and is set to continue this trend in spite of the challenges. More in this Barbados Today news item.
The Barbados economy posted double-digit growth for January to March and is set to continue this trend for the remainder of the year, barring threatening challenges on the global front. Central Bank Governor Cleverson Haynes delivered the upbeat news in his quarterly economic review this morning. The 11.8% growth was largely spurred by a rebound in tourism arrivals, and though optimistic, Governor Haynes is wary that global travel could be negatively affected by the war in Ukraine, the prevailing COVID-19 pandemic, and other issues.
We are, as you know, a small open economy. We are very dependent on trade, and on our primary trade is tourism, and therefore the uncertainty about what is happening, particularly in relation to the war, I think is something that concerns us because it could work either way. It could be that persons decide, well, they're not going other places and they're going to look for warm destinations such as in the Caribbean, and we could benefit in that context. But there's also the risk that persons decide to stay closer to home because of the uncertainty and therefore not travel. And that is something that, quite honestly, we can't totally predict. We can look at the forward bookings, which I understand are relatively encouraging. But as you would appreciate, persons can also cancel if they see a change in the overall global outlook. So that really is our primary concern right now. What is happening internationally? How will that impact on what we do here? And therefore, while we are still optimistic that we will be able to achieve our double-digit increase for 2022, we are also mindful that there are significant downside risks associated with that forecast.
Baroness Patricia Scotland is grateful for the support of Antigua and Barbuda's Prime Minister Gaston Brown and other leaders as she faces a challenge for the job of Commonwealth Secretary General.
You will all know that Prime Minister Gaston Brown was not necessarily always of the view that this was the best position to be, but he has made it absolutely clear that we worked together for the last 6 years, and he's seen what we have managed to achieve together to deliver real benefit for the small states, real benefit for the big states, real benefit for all in the Commonwealth. So I'm just very grateful for his trenchant support. I'm very grateful for all the leaders who have expressed their trenchant support of me.
The Commonwealth Secretary General Baroness Patricia Scotland has defended the award of a consultancy contract to a company run by a personal friend, Lord Patel of Bradford. The contract stoked a fast storm of controversy and led to an audit committee accusing her of circumventing the usual competitive tendering rules. The contract was awarded to KYA Global to conduct a review of the Commonwealth Secretariat. Baroness Scotland has been castigated in some circles over the matter, and it has been raised as an issue as she faces a challenge from Jamaica's Foreign Minister, Senator Kamina Johnson-Smith, for the post. However, Baroness Scotland told ABS News from Nairobi, Kenya on Wednesday the rules were followed.
That which I did was in accordance with the rules that then applied. And in fact, if you look at the benefits that we got from the work, we would have paid maybe more than £1 million for the same work. And what we did was actually within the rules that I inherited when I came in. Now, what I've done since I came in is I changed the procurement rules, and we tightened them, and we have changed them. But I think I need to be absolutely clear that those actions were in accordance with the rules that were pertained when I came in.
Baroness Scotland has told ABS's News also in an exclusive interview that she is surprised by the nomination of Jamaica's foreign minister to challenge her. She is now hoping Senator Kamina Johnson-Smith will rethink the decision ahead of the Commonwealth Heads of Government meeting in Rwanda's capital Kigali in June of this year. Baroness Scotland has already served 6 years in the post. Since the 2020 Commonwealth Heads of Government meeting has been delayed for the past 2 years because of the COVID-19 pandemic.
I would be incredibly pleased, as you can imagine, if Senator Kamina Johnson thought again and felt maybe that this wasn't the appropriate time to challenge a fellow Commonwealth Caribbean for this post. You'll know that I've done 6 years of my 8-year term. Africa anticipates that they will have an opportunity to put forward an African Secretary General in 2024. When I complete my second term. And at the moment, of course, in accordance with tradition, there is no vacancy.
You're listening to Caribbean Perspective with Eddie Frederick.
Guyana's President, Dr. Irfan Ali, met with Prime Minister of the United Kingdom, Boris Johnson, on Wednesday, with the British leader expressing interest in securing oil supplies from Georgetown in light of Russia's invasion of Ukraine.
Prime Minister Boris also alluded to the fact that we must move towards government-to-government dialogue, G2G dialogue, in which we'll identify the high priority areas, identify areas in which we can have further collaboration, and identify areas in which the government can work together with each other in transformational projects. For example, one such thing that we discussed, given what is taking place in Ukraine, how the UK energy security, and he was very much interested in Guyana and what role we can play in this regard. We are right now discussing whether we go with a national oil company or whether we go out to an auction of all the blocks. So all of this was also part of the discussion. And the technical team are now tasked with defining the areas for the government-to-government talks and government-to-government collaboration.
A Jamaica court cleared the way recently for the extradition to Miami of a key suspect in the assassination of Haitian President Jovenel Moïse.
Former Haitian Senator John Joel Joseph, who was arrested in Jamaica earlier this year after months of hiding in Haiti, was being held on the immigration violation charge after illegally entering the English-speaking Caribbean nation with his wife and children. After multiple postponements and court appearances, the one-time politician's case was finally resolved Thursday when the chief prosecutor decided not to move forward with the case. Joseph, whose passport shows his last name as John, has waived an extradition court hearing in order to be brought to the United States, where he will most likely be charged in connection with the still unsolved assassination. He would be the third suspect charged in Miami. The U.S. Attorney's Office declined to comment on Joseph's expected extradition to Miami. A criminal complaint is expected to charge him with conspiring to provide material support in a plot to kill a foreign leader. It would be similar to the case brought against a Colombian commando accused of participating in a deadly attack on the president's Port-au-Prince suburban home and against a convicted Haitian drug trafficker accused of supplying weapons and other support in that assault last July. The U.S. has been conducting its own investigation into the killing under the Justice Department's expansive view of its criminal jurisdiction. Though the crime happened in Haiti, some of the planning occurred in South Florida, Haitian and U.S. investigators have said. A Haitian police investigative report obtained by the Herald describes Joseph as playing a key role in the plot. He was allegedly responsible for renting the vehicles used on the night of the murder and hosted meetings at his house before July 7th. But Haitian authorities hope he can shed light on the motive behind the killing.
Have the police in Trinidad and Tobago earned public distrust? One senior police officer believes the answer is yes, to some degree. However, he notes that the drivers of crime and criminality are not caused by the police. Yet, it is the police who are called to deal with the consequences. Superintendent Andre Norton is calling for an overhaul of policing and the policies which govern it. TV6's Renessa Cutting has more from the University of the West Indies Viral Policing Symposium held on Wednesday.
We as police agencies must acknowledge that the level of distrust for police in some communities that we serve, to some extent, we have earned it and must now seek to mend broken trust based on past and present injustices and discrimination to remove that hurdle to legitimacy.
At a time when public discourse is heightened around the circumstances surrounding the fatal shooting of PC Jokes, one senior police officer suggests that the culture of policing needs to be changed.
What's your key role and function? The most common answer you may hear: to enforce the law, to detect and prevent crime. And while they are correct, it is a very narrow perspective of policing in a democracy. So I ask the question, what is missing here? Sadly, many of us police officers have forgotten that protecting constitutional rights is the mission of police in a democracy.
However, Superintendent Norton acknowledges that a balance must be struck. As he notes, the threat of crime is a very real and present danger through no fault of the police.
So while we have no control over those root causes, such as unemployment, poverty, poor housing, perceived inequality, loss of hope and dysfunctional families, etc., these, however, lead to criminogenic behavior, resulting in us having to enforce the law against such behavior. So let's be realistic. Is that really fair to the policing profession?
He's advocating what he calls community policing 2.0, which he says will see greater collaboration with other stakeholders, as well as more intuitive policing.
Research has linked crime reduction to public trust and confidence in police. Training should include de-escalation techniques, critical thinking, implicit bias, and crisis intervention, to name a few. We must adopt a guardian and not a warrior mindset in order to build public trust and legitimacy.
And he says the example must be set at the top.
The two most dangerous words in the lexicon of any police executive are the words "no comment." When we are faced with the media and we are faced with questions pertaining activities of our police officers as senior executives, we must never use the words "no comment." What it does, it signifies corruption, cover-up, and perceptions of the blue wall of silence associated with policing.
Renessa Cutting, TV6 News.
For over 40 years, Food Fair has provided quality service at affordable prices. Now, grocery shopping is made easier and more convenient from the Food Fair web store.
Hey, babe. Listen, I need you to go down to Food Fair to get some groceries.
All right, no problem. Right away.
Thanks, babe. What are you doing? You're supposed to be going food fair to get a grocery, man.
I am, but didn't you know you can order your groceries online from the Food Fair web store?
Are you serious?
Of course. All you have to do is just to log on to www.foodfair.gd with credit card in hand, and with an order of $100 or more, Food Fair Grandants will deliver up to 3 miles away. And you don't even have to worry about your information, you know. Their safety measures are excellent.
So hold on. You just order online and Food Fair will deliver to you?
Yep.
Oh, baby, better hurry up and order, man.
I already did. They should be here any minute now.
Enjoy easy online shopping anytime from your home or office from the Food Fair web store. Food Fair, where you can fill your baskets without emptying your pockets.
I am Eddie Frederick, wishing you a restful weekend. This has been Caribbean Perspective, a whole new approach to highlighting developments in the Caribbean. In the meantime, please continue to log on to CaribbeanPerspective.com for more daily news and more.